So the philosophies, and again, this is so important to understand the underlying, the structure of the spiral school of awareness, because again, you want to make sure that this resonates with you. Self-responsibility. You are responsible for yourself and you are responsible for your results. You do have power over your human experience. Life is a co-created experience. There's the world around you, and there's how you meet the world around you. So this is not about self-blame. So, taking our whole lives and being confronted, if this is confronting and triggering or challenging, you can definitely reach out and we can talk about this. But, the idea of self-responsibility, the idea that you are responsible for yourself, your world, your life, all of it, that is a huge concept to really sit with. But it's not about self-blame. This is a reclamation of your power to move forward and reclaim ownership of your life, your experience, and your future. So if you are self-responsible, you have been duped if you weren't self-responsible before. But I'm here to tell you, you are self-responsible going forward. And I hope you can receive that. So that's a big part of this, knowing that you're responsible for your life. There is an underlying order. This is a magical universe. And I do want to say that there's so much to each of these philosophies, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to give you a brief underlying of all of these. So there is an underlying order to the universe. We live in a magical universe with hidden order and symmetries. Ancient philosophers and modern mystics have chased this hidden order. And one part of this is balance. The yin and yang. So there's these different dualities, different opposites, and really one cannot exist without the other. And we're bringing those into balance. So there's the support versus challenge, challenging yourself and asking for help. There's the idea of the individual and oneness of community. And it's okay to think in duals because we live in, there's part of this world that is still 2D. Even if we are ascended to 5D or 6D, we still live very much in a 2D, 3D world. And, ascending past those dualities, it's not about ignoring them. It's about being able to embody all of them and see them all with love and really just embrace this life that we've been given. So I digress a little bit, but there is an underlying order to the universe. And this modality believes that if you can't see the order in the moment, I invite you to take a moment to look at chaos in retrospect, things in your life that were chaotic. And when you look at them in retrospect, you can sort of see how they played out for your growth, for our growth. Anytime something big and chaotic happened, how did that change you? How did you grow through that? How did you ascend through that? Did you? So looking back, and what's happening is we're shifting perspective, because if you can't see the order right now, if you can at least see that there was order in the past, this is a perspective shift. And what it's saying is that there is divine perfection unfolding at all times. There is an underlying order. This is a magical universe with hidden orders and symmetries, and it is divine and it is perfect. And you are part of that. So take a breath, empty your cup, and this shift, this perspective shift that I'm talking about allows miraculous changes to occur. When you look at your life as a miracle, when you look at your life as magical, when you look at your life as divine perfection unfolding at every moment, everything coming at you is divine for perfection, leading you towards the ascension of yourself. This is when you step into miracles. So just allowing you to sort of feel into that underlying order of the universe. The next philosophy is you have all the resources you need. So your unconscious mind and your higher self. So we haven't talked about your higher self, but for you, that's the Jivat man, your spirit, your soul, the higher self, the part of you that is divine, the part of you, I believe, are divine, the part of you that's connected to a greater being, however that shows up for you. So both your unconscious mind and your higher self, they're always supporting you. If you have a dream, a desire, a trigger, a heightened awareness, that's because there's something within you that wishes to emerge in relation to that. And and that's your higher self and your unconscious mind working together to show you the next step, right? Divine perfection unfolding at all times. And what your higher self and your unconscious mind are showing you, you have the strength to endure. You have all the resources you need. And as you continue on this path of wholeness, as you continue on this path of expansion and ascension, and really, if you don't like those big tick words, merely just finding joy and peace in your life, the more you journey on this path, the greater those challenges become, because each ascension, each step up, each step into peace and joy, these are through challenges. These are through being uncomfortable, and you have everything you need to stretch and rise up to meet them. And that's the invitation here. That's the invitation for a big part of this modality, the emotional clearing modality, is to rise, to stretch beyond your comfort zone, rise up and meet these challenges. When you're open to the support of self, by supporting yourself and asking the community around you for help, when you're open to this flow of life, life begins to be fluid for you. You begin to be in flow, and things are fluid and moving, and you're at this higher level of existence, this higher frequency of being. You are complete. So this is a good one, and this is very important. So you are not here to be fixed. You are not broken. If you've been running unresourceful patterns and habits, that's just because you have been conditioned and imprinted with unresourceful beliefs. That is a big part of the spiral philosophy. We are not fixing you. We are uncovering you. We are unearthing you. With every clearing that you do and every clearing that is done, the philosophy behind it is that you are complete and you are perfect in this very moment. If I don't like the way I look, what conditioning am I looking for that's telling me how I should look? And that's a big one, right? Not feeling like, not feeling beautiful, not feeling desirable, not feeling any of these things. We are all perfect exactly as we are in this very moment. And if you think you're not, what are you trying to look like? Where are you trying to go? What do you want to look like? Is it, what famous person or body type or gender identity, what are we reaching for that's so perfect? Because that changes all the time. This year it's Kim Kardashian. 5 years ago it was Nicole Kidman. I mean, I'm making this up, but this is changing all the time. And then we look back at the Renaissance and it's these gorgeous full-figured women just lounging, eating. How romantic is that? That feels like perfect to me, by the way. But if we're looking outside of us for something that's perfect, we're never going to get there. It's always changing. So we have to look inside. We are already perfect. We are already complete. And this is about, these are all the unresourceful patterns and habits looking outside of us. And it's because we've been conditioned and imprinted with these unresourceful beliefs ancestrally, not on purpose from our parents, but from the world around us, from our parents, from our families, from our loved ones, from our teachers, from everybody around us who are all running the same unresourceful patterns and beliefs. You have always been perfect. You have always been complete from the moment you were born. Going somewhere, getting something, this is just the treadmill of suffering. And clearing work is going to help you remember the miracle that you already are. Mirror theory. So this is a rough one, and I'm going to be short and sweet with this. I had to re-record mirror theory a couple of times because nobody really likes mirror theory. But if you're a yogi, this was part of your yogi training too. Mirror theory. I'm going to start with the basics. So our sensory experience of the world, right? What we see, what we smell, what we feel, what we taste, what we hear, our whole sense, what we intuit. Our whole sensory experience is filtered through our minds. And these are our minds, right? Full of all the subconscious stuff, unconscious stuff. These are the filters which we use to automatically delete, distort, and generalize the sensory data. And we're creating our internal map of reality. To help you understand that a little differently, me and the Dalai Lama, this beautiful man, we're both watching the same thing happen at the same time. I bet the two of us are going to have different stories about what we saw, what resonated with us, what hit us. I would love to think that I was closer to the Dalai Lama, but most likely I have a very New Jersey feminine perspective on this, and he has the Dalai Lama's perspective on this. But this is how our minds are filtering things. He's probably not fair because he might be enlightened, but whatever. We're going to see these things differently. And this is because everything we become aware of is consciously related to something that we believe or that we have experienced. So our reality, therefore, is only ever a mirror of ourselves. So if my mind is filtering things, I can only comprehend, I can only process and become consciously aware of something that's related to something I believe or I have experienced. So if there's something in front of me that I don't believe or haven't experienced, I can't even receive it because my mind is deleting it. So this is really important because if we have recurring events and patterns in our life, these emotions, with the same emotional charge around it. So if I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over again, which means I'm receiving the same thing over and over and over again, it's not them. It's not the world. It's you. It's something you need to deal with. And this is where emotional clearing comes in. This is where we can clear this, embody it, embrace it, expand it, and move through it. When you investigate the beliefs and ideas that you have about experiences and you clear them, all of a sudden, like when you clear this small-mindedness, you're expanding. And then the purview with which you see the world expands. And the external world changes like magic. As soon as we start clearing, as soon as we become bigger and more expansive and wiser, the world around us becomes bigger and more expansive. All those different words. It changes like magic. It's immediate. Thoughts and emotions are changeable. So if you want to wax more about mirror theory, you can just message me, but I don't want to bore everybody with this. Thoughts and emotions are changeable. Thoughts are simply an electrical signal that are moving through your brain. In the same situation, people have different thoughts. Your thoughts change your experience. You can't just think about anything. That doesn't make it a fact. The liberation is you can change your thoughts. So you can change your thoughts. They're yours. People have different thoughts, and thoughts change your experience. So if you want to change your experience, you change your thoughts. You can do this. It's just an electrical signal. Emotions are the feeling. So there's your emotions are the feeling tones that move through your body. And that's often in response to the thoughts. Thoughts and emotions are not permanent. They shift all the time. Lots of the thoughts that you have are driven by these unconscious patterns that you picked up as a young child and they're playing on repeat. So this deep emotional clearing work is really one of the best ways to become aware of and make changes to these thoughts and emotions that are not empowering you to live the life that you want. So the empowerment here is through clearing. I can change my thoughts and emotions. Thereby, I can change my experience of the world. Self-responsibility, right? Resistance is your teacher. So I invite you to take note of avoidance patterns supported by really good reasons or rationalizations. Look at ways that you are avoiding life. And you can notice how your mind is supporting you in this resistance, keeping you stagnant, keeping you in this place. Especially when we're at a breakthrough or a transformation, that's when we get distracted, right? This is when we get bored. This is when we manifest drama. What we're doing is keeping us safe from imminent change. So sometimes the unconscious mind resists change, even if it's something we desire. And that's because change can feel scary and uncertain. Sometimes we hold on to the problem state because within it, there's a scarier problem. There could be a bigger, scarier problem if we solve this one. And this is actually a psychology piece. This is called secondary gain. So if we take the time and consciously unpack and clear the deeper fears, which are often illusions and distortions, then change becomes easier and more peaceful. And this is talking about the resistances that we were talking about before. resistance, when you see yourself bucking up against something and you can't move forward, this is something to really sit with and unpack and clear, because there's bound to be a lot of illusions and distortions from this, these rationalizations, these things that we're making from our programs and our conditions. And we will go really, our unconscious mind will go really hard to keep us safe. So pay attention to when you hit resistances and you don't want to move forward. There's something there to be worked through. And if you're self-clearing, these are things you want to be picking up in your journaling, etc. The body mirrors the mind. A huge percent of physical illness is emotional imbalances unrecognized for too long as we shed layers of emotional baggage that has been with you for years. And we're preparing for physical responses. So when you're clearing, so again, body mirrors the mind. We've all talked about this, especially if you're a yogi. So like I had a herniated disc that ruptured in between C6 and C7, my lower cervical spine. So for me, I know that this was my heart chakra. This was a broken heart that I was not dealing with. So I just let this sickness sit here, and it created this horrific physical condition. This is one of my breakthrough points. So if the body mirrors the mind, and now we're coming in to clear things. Now we're clearing these things, just like when I cried in the car. So when I cried in the car, this was a physical response to me clearing the conditioning that stopped me from crying. So weight loss, tears, sweats, upset stomachs, a lot of these things happen when you clear. They don't have to happen, but they may happen. So be aware of the different ways you're physically responding to the emotional clears that you're doing when you do your self-clearing. Frequency resonance. So frequency resonance, we attract people, events, and situations into our lives all the time. We can only ever attract that which resonates on the same frequency as we do. So for example, that's why people who can't get pregnant, once they adopt, they immediately get pregnant with their own child. That's because they're in the frequency of parenting. Maybe that's why we actually when we stop dating for a while and we start to date ourselves and we heal ourselves through self-love, this is when we call in our soulmate, because we are showing the world how to treat us, and the person who can treat us at that frequency is coming in for us. Emotional, energetic, spiritual hygiene. This is what we're doing when we do self-clearing on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. We're raising our frequency so that we can match the higher frequencies of people, places, timing, and events that we do want to call into our life. So if we are every morning intentionally getting up and, if we notice something that's bothering us, oh my God, I cannot believe what that person said. Dear God, if I chakra line clear to that person in the morning, I'm really working through the shit I have with that person. And it's not their shit, it's my shit, right? Self-responsibility. So if I clear that before I go out into the day, I'm going out into the day with this frequency and I'm calling in these people. If I stay in this low frequency and I stay in this fight space, this programmed low frequency energy, I'm calling people in here. So I'm calling in more trouble. Up here, I'm calling in more of those positive things, those higher frequencies that I do want to call in my life to cultivate, higher, more joy, more peace in my life. And the last one, how you do anything is how you do everything. So I think this is the simplest one, but it's still incredibly powerful. And it's a big part of my practice, and it's a big part of my personal practice. So the tiniest things that we say and do in our lives really reveals huge amounts about the greater patterns that are running in our lives. Like, are you first in line or are you hiding in the back? Are you giving 10% or are you giving 100%? Strategies and patterns in your life are universal. So when we heal, so if you are first in line, you're always first in line. You're always up front. If you're hiding in the back, and that's okay. If you're metal, if you're okay, it's okay. If you're hiding in the back, I don't want to talk to anybody. You will be hiding in the back for everything. So if you're hiding in the back in class and you want to come out in the front in your business, you need to come out in the front and you're having trouble getting to the front of things, getting promotions. That's because you're hiding in class. So you want to show yourself. When you show yourself in class, when you show yourself in your home, when you speak up for yourself, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that's easy with percentages. If I'm giving 50% at work, I'm giving 50% to my spouse, my partner, I'm giving 50% to my kids, I'm giving 50% to my schooling. If I give 100% to one thing, then I start giving 100% to everything. So the idea here is to heal the small habits, and then the big habits fall in line. So if you have one thing and you do it really, really well, everything starts to look really well. And if you are a Sophia Code person, if you have read the Sophia Code and you're a fan of the Sophia Code, this is something from Native American heritage, and it's associated with White Buffalo Woman, and that's treating everything as sacred. Treating everything as sacred is really a great adage to step into. If we treat even the most mundane tasks as sacred, what we're doing is creating that energy, creating that universal strategy and pattern of treating things as sacred. So once we treat one thing as sacred, all things become sacred. We start treating everything as sacred. And this is massive up-leveling and shifting in our lives. So how you do anything is how you do everything.